Hi guys, this is Klazart, and I've got the incredibly knowledgeable Kenny alongside in a SC2GG Commentary Idol Dual Commentary Special. Hope you guys are ready for this. Hold on to your seats. This is the OSL round of 16 between Leta and Tester, and this should be a huge matchup. Everything on the line for both of these players, and everything on the line for our contestant Kenny, who we are going to be featuring in this commentary. So if you guys hear me not talking a lot, hopefully that's because Kenny's got a lot to say.
Oh baby, you're totally right, man. This game is going to be super cool, man. I can't believe I'm casting with Klazart. Thank you everyone for getting me here. I'm so excited. We are going to have Tester versus Leta, as Klazart did mention earlier, and this is on Medusa. Now, to kind of sum up a little bit of what happened in the previous rounds of the OSL, what got us to this game right here is actually some kind of interesting games. July losing to Bisu on Return of the King, a very action-packed game. I do suggest that you watch it. And of course we have our other player here, Tester, losing to By Hero in a pretty exciting game, but I think it was a little bit one-sided, so I definitely check those games out. But one thing to mention here is that, I mean, Medusa is a very technical map, extremely technical, especially for Terran, since you can't build anything in the middle of the map at all. It's got kind of like little ravines and cracks in the middle of the map, so you can't build anything there. So that makes hard pushes extremely difficult. And also, this map is very easy for Protoss to take in early expansion, so it's very good for Protoss to expand on, and a Terran to expand on as well. But yeah, I expect to see some really interesting play out of both these players. Leta has always been one of my favorite Terrans, because he's just got this really cool style that you don't see a lot out of Terrans these days, so I'm really excited to see this match.
Yeah, this is going to be absolutely huge. And just to put things, and it looks like we've got a 12 Nexus from Tester. So Tester taking maximum advantage of this map, knowing that his opponent is not going to be going for anything crazy. He's decided that he's going to be the one to go for anything crazy, and probably because he feels he needs to do that against a player of the caliber of Leta. Obviously, this is a must-win game for both of these players. Leta really finds himself in a lot of trouble in a group that really he should have been comfortable in. He lost against By Fantasy in the previous round of this group, and that's just put him in such a horrible position, because now he really actually, sorry, that was the MSL. I'm mixing up my games. Leta lost to Flash, as you mentioned, in the previous round of this group, and that's put him in an uncomfortable position because he really needs to. He would have counted on beating Tester. Unfortunately, this map has a statistic of 70% Protoss versus Terran victory rate. 70%. The question is that enough of an advantage for a player like Tester? And I'm sorry, I don't mean to berate Tester. And we're just seeing some Pro versus SCV action right in the middle at Leta's temple. But is the 70% rate enough for a player like Tester to be able to overcome Leta, and or is it Leta really who needs to be overcoming Tester here? Normally you would expect Leta to stroll through this, but Tester, I have to say, has a good chance on this map against Leta, and Leta could find himself in the horrible position of going out of both the OSL and the MSL this season, where he's destroying everyone in the Pro League.
Yeah, definitely correct there, and I do apologize. I did forget to mention that Leta actually did lose to Fantasy there, so, which was a really crazy Terran versus Terran. So Leta is going to this game maybe a little bit on edge, and like you said, this map could play out in Tester's favor, because I mean, those statistics, I mean, they speak for themselves. I know sometimes statistics don't matter, but Medusa is a very technical map, and really one of the maps I would say statistics really do matter on. This map is extremely difficult. I've been playing Terran lately, actually, and this map is very difficult to play on. I can't even imagine playing against this high a caliber of players. And as you see, we are seeing the early command center from Leta, so we are going to see maybe some later gameplay, because we did see the 12 Nexus, and Leta knows, okay, there's one of two ways that he can go here, Leta. He can either go to factory build and just all-in rush Tester, which in this kind of position he might not want to do, or he can try to expand himself and really just macro up and keep this game kind of at an equal economic advantage. Now, really, Tester's already ahead because he did do that 12 Nexus, which I was explaining earlier, so huge on this map, because you can just take that Nexus in the back of your base and it's basically free. You have to kill temples to really get back there, or you have to go all the way into their base and up the ramp to get to the back there. So really smart play so far by Tester, and like you said, don't leave Tester out of this yet. He may not be the best player in the Pros, but come on. This map speaks for itself, and of course he is a pro anyways, so he is a good player, and we just got to see how this game unfolds.
Yeah, I mean, the question of whether or not he's a good good player. Really, I think he hurt himself, his credentials a lot by his previous performance in the OSL against Bai Hero. Again, Leta, if he can win this matchup, he will be in a comfortable position. Leta playing some really clever StarCraft here. He sent a couple of vultures out. He's mining the path. He's also putting a starport up, if you noticed, and obviously that's to get a Wraith out to counter the shuttle to prevent the Protoss harass, which can be so deadly, especially on this map. And yeah, Tester obviously went for the early Nexus, so he's got the economic advantage. Now he's going to be forced to send a Zealot out to try and run those Spider Mines down, but really, that wasn't fantastic by Tester. A total of 2 Spider Mines was all his Zealot was able to get. He really should have been able to get a slightly better drag if you saw the positioning of those Spider Mines. So what he's doing is quite clever here, because Tester, obviously, if he was going ahead with a Shuttle and Reaver, he would have liked to have his Dragoons into support at Leta's choke. So Leta doing a good job of just laying some Spider Mines down and just to try and keep Tester back, to keep him from really putting the pressure back on Leta, considering that Tester's economy should kick into gear earlier, and that's going to give Leta the little bit of time he needs to catch up and to get his own economy and his own macro up to the level where he needs it. And immediately we've seen a control tower go up for Leta as well, and that's interesting. I wonder why he's decided to go for the starport with control tower so early on in the game against obviously a Terran player who's bound to have observers, so it's definitely not going to be cloak raids. And brilliant by Leta, he managed to get a run by with 3 vultures into Tester's base, and poor play by Tester. He really should have stopped that, and he's going to lose a couple of probes here. The only mistake I've seen from Leta thus far is that he scouted very, very late, and that's why Tester's got, actually obviously he's going for the dropships, and that's why Tester's got whatever little advantage that he has.
Yeah, that's definitely correct. Now, one thing to note is Tester's already going for his 3rd, which is pretty common in Protoss vs Terran. But a thing to mention now is the dropship play. If this really fails, Leta could be extremely far behind, and that's not a position he wants to be in. It does look like Tester is already set up perfectly to deter any sort of dropship play at all. He's got goons in his main, and up on high ground, he's got pylons to see all the vision around there. He knows what's going on at any time. Map hack on Tester's base right now, so really I don't think Leta's going to be able to sneak anything in and do any damage. The mine's being cleared out of the middle right now, so this is going to be a very critical point. Now, is Leta going to go for some sort of early push, or is he going to wait and just make this a maxed out battle type position? Really, I don't know. This can just branch off in so many different directions, so I really got to sit back and analyze exactly what the players are doing. I mean, a couple more factories going up right now, so I expect Leta to try to push this into that kind of huge army versus huge army type play, which is so common these days in Terran versus Protoss, and it's going to be, I expect, to be some sort of an upgrade battle, really, because when Terran tries to push the game into a late game, they need those upgrades to really mess with the huge forces of the Protoss. What I'm really excited to see, are we going to see Arbiters, or are we going to see some sort of carrier play? It's very common on this map to be using either, really, but it's just we got to see here. And yeah, so there we go.
Yeah, good play by Tester with obviously the positioning of the Dragoons, but he is really giving Leta the initiative early on and telling Leta, okay, you make the aggressive move. Leta now coming in with the scans, he's seen the 3 Dragoons there, and Leta hasn't really been, he's committed himself to those dropships, he spent a lot of resources on those dropships, and he hasn't really been able to get any mileage out of them, and that's hurting him. The longer those dropships continue to be in play without affecting some sort of damage on Tester, some sort of harass, now he's going to come in and going to be able to drop. He drops a tank, and I think Tester would have been wise to almost focus in on the siege tanks, but he's now going to be forced to use the Dragoons from below the ridge as well, and Leta's in a decent position here to put some pressure on Tester. He's got a couple of siege tanks as well as vultures, but those vultures have been taken out, and now Tester's just going to be able to close right within range of those siege tanks and pick them off. Some great Dragoon play by Tester, using the Dragoons on the bottom of the hill as well, and Leta's first attack comes to naught. 2 dropship worth of units dropping in and killing 1 Dragoon total and losing everything in the process, so Tester's lead continues to cement, and you know, on the one hand, Tester has given Leta the initiative. He says, okay, I've taken the gambit to go 12cc, now I'm ahead in economy. If you want to win this game, you're going to have to make all the moves, and I'm just going to sit back here and absorb the pressure and build my lead. And Leta is being forced to make all the moves, and unfortunately so far for him they haven't paid off. Sorry about that, guys. We just had a little bit of an interruption there. Sometimes this kind of stuff happens in commentaries. Now, normally when something like this would happen, we would just restart the commentary. But because this is a competitive situation, I don't think we can. So we're just going to carry on here. And I hope you guys will keep in mind that this is an exciting Commentator Idol final. And a little pause never hurt anybody. Just to allow us to catch our breath in what is proving to be an exciting matchup, with Leta having to put all the pressure on Tester here. And Leta really needs to do something soon, because he's continuing to lag behind right now.
Yeah, definitely. Leta is just getting further and further behind right now. He really needs to make these drops effective, because if he does not, he's just going to be so far behind. I don't know if he's going to be able to catch up. And really, he doesn't have the support. Already, Tester is just there with so many goons, ready to fight on all flanks, man. I mean, he's in the middle, he's in his main base, he's on top, and he's just surrounding Leta's forces, really taking out so many tanks, so many vultures. Brilliant play so far by Tester. I don't know if this drop is really going to be effective. He is losing quite a few goons, but already more reinforcements coming around the side, so I think that this might have been deterred. So this is really bad for Leta. Man, I'm hoping that Leta can pull something out of his magical sack and really make this work, but it is certainly not looking good for him at all.
Yeah, Tester's micro is not impressing me though. He's running in with those zealots, 4 zealots to a single spider mine, and now he's lost all of his zealots before they could make it to the siege tanks. And again, Tester in the lead, now starting to throw some of his advantage away. Leta with the double drop, he had the vultures waiting, he dropped in the 4 siege tanks, and the 4 siege tanks. 2 of the siege tanks just about survived. Now he's got a good position where he can shell Tester from, and Tester is going to find a little bit to break this down, because he's lost most of his army that he had in his base to be able to actually take advantage of that. But it has to be said, Tester just showed why people have so little confidence in his play. He's now got the, I believe, speed upgrade on his zealots, but even without the speed upgrade, it just didn't make sense to me that he was running 4 zealots into a single spider mine and allowing 1 spider mine to hit all 4 instead of running at least a couple of zealots ahead of his main, which he's now finally trying to do a little bit. Or it looks like he's still attacking, moving them. No, he's not. He's finally trying. So he's going to be able to break this attack that Leta's put on top of his ridge. But nevertheless, Leta's going to be coming around with another attack, looks like with his dropships, this time heading for the expansion that Tester's just now trying to set up at the 6 o'clock position. So that's going to get killed in its infancy. Tester's going to be forced to cancel that. It looks like he's not canceling that right now. This is very risky by Tester. He can't really afford to lose his minerals. He's now bringing in, he's now being clever and sending a single zealot in first. He's obviously learned his lesson, and Leta's going to run away with that dropship. If Tester can pick this dropship off, he's going to hurt Leta big time, because Leta's got siege tanks and the dropship gets picked off. Great play by Tester. He actually manages to pick the dropship off. So even though Leta is drawing blood here and there, Tester is the one who's still hitting the heavy blows.
Yeah, Tester just proving that he's ready to move on in this tournament. Really impressive plays so far. He's all over the map, protecting everything there. We do see the Stargate up right now, and I'm really expecting to see some Arbiter play right now. Usually when you see one Stargate, it's usually going to be Arbiters, so Arbiter play could be very important in these big battles, and it looks like Leta's saying, now I need to make an attack, and it needs to be deadly, because if I don't do a lot of damage right here, this game will be over so fast, and I'll be packing up, going home. And that's not where any player wants to be in any position they want to be in at all. Really, this position right now is really sensitive. And the reason I say this is because on this map, if you can get to that temple as Terran and really set up kind of your own huge force and really just sit there with mines in front of your tanks and kill those temples, I apologize there, then you can just move right up into their base and really just have this push that leads right up into their base, and it's so hard to defend as Protoss. So Tester's going to need to attack probably soon. I expect him to do something. It looks like he might be moving for an attack right now. I don't know. He's doing a lot of zealot bombs, but is he going to move in for a final attack? I don't know. It looks like he's getting some probes picked off, though, during this transfer, which is never good. This is a really risky time. You need to have every bit of economy you can, because you need to be able to back up those huge armies if you ever lose them. And I think that's the position Tester's trying to get into right now. He does have Templars coming out right now, so he's going to need some good storms. He's going to need to clear out those mines with some good zealot drags and really take out this army of Leta. And then he can sit comfortably, take this 4th expansion, and really just destroy Leta.
Yeah, Leta's made a really brilliant move here, taking the middle, because even though he was behind initially, he did enough of an attack and killed enough of Tester's units that he managed to build up enough of an advantage that he could actually position himself in the middle. So far, Tester's zealot bombs have been quite ineffective, and now really Tester looks like he's going to actually commit himself to an attack here, sending all of his forces in. The zealots are stuck behind the dragoons. He managed to get a storm off, but only hits 1 siege tank with it, which was quite poor by Tester. But now he's managed to close his dragoons within the range of Leta's tanks. And it looks like Tester's actually unit superiority count is going to tell here. Leta's going to be wiped out. Leta just doesn't have enough units. Leta played a good defense, but he just didn't have enough units, and Tester clears out the middle. So Leta, despite making a good move, he realized that he had to take the gamble and close out the middle, because if he let Tester get that 4th base uncontested, then he would just be so far behind and there would be nothing he would be able to do. So unfortunately for Leta, it just really is looking like he's going to go 0-2 down in this OSL group, in a group with players like Fantasy, Tester, and By-Hero. And really, if Leta cannot make it out of this group, Medusa or no Medusa, I have to question his supposed S-class status, success that people are so readily willing to bestow on him. And I just think people are too quick to call great player these days. I'm sure he's a good player, but it takes something special to become a great player. And I think as a service to players like Bisu and Savior and Boxer and all the other great players that have gone before them, I think that title should be handled with a little bit more care.
I got to agree with you. That is starting to become kind of the normal fad to give these players that S-class type rank, and really it is hard to earn that status these days. And really, I don't know if Leta is playing up to that S-class status right now. Still trying to manage some of this high ground using dropships. The first Arbiter has come out already, and I'll tell you what, if Tester doesn't win this game, you sure sold it like he did. Speaking so fast, man, I'm just impressed at the fast commentary there. But really, this is going to be the important unit here in the game is the Science Vessel, because if he can get those great EMPs off on the Arbiters and the units, he might be able to make a comeback here. He has taken his 4th as well, so they're equal on bases. This game could go either way. It's really going to come down to this next attack. I'd have to say Tester still has a small advantage. He's probably going to try to take that like 1 o'clock position. Yes, on the minimap, I do see him taking that Nexus. So this is going to just turn into a huge who can run over who, and that's just basically like a game of football with StarCraft, and I'm really excited to see who's going to come out on top. Now, a dropship did come in here. He's going to try to take out this 4th expansion here, laying mines, but it looks like Tester is going to move in, and he has plenty of units to take this out. So I don't know how effective this is going to be. If he gets that Nexus, though, it'll be huge. He's already gotten so many probes, and if he gets that Nexus, and it looks like he's going to get that Nexus, oh my god, could Leta be making a comeback from this game? Look at Tester, man. He looks really pissed off, and I have to say, I would be too, because he just lost his real big advantage, which was that earlier 4th expansion, and Leta has his up and running and is attacking the other 4th expansion of Tester. So huge play here by Leta, and maybe he will make this comeback game, and we'll eat our words and know that he is still a great player and can prove it right now.
Well, again, I don't think beating Tester is enough to be considered a great player, but we might very well have to eat our words, because Leta is making a huge comeback in this game. His expansions are secured, his defense is secure, and he's sending these raiding parties out of vultures, and Tester is just not able to. Tester is just playing poorly. I'm sorry to say it, but Tester's just playing poorly. That Nexus had taken a lot of damage, and Leta made a great attack on it with the 1 C-Shank, and the vultures was actually able to take it down before his vultures got taken out. But you can just see how slow Tester is to anticipate any attacks from Leta and respond. It's like Tester arrives 10 minutes after Leta's actually already made the attack, and as a result of that, he's already lost 1 expansion. He's now in the process of losing a 2nd, and now he's running his probes right through all of Leta's vultures, and Leta loses 1 vulture to kill about 10 probes. And actually, I think I am going to be swallowing my words, because I think Leta is actually now going to win this game, because now he's switched the game around and got the economic advantage by some great mid-game play. And it looks like Tester, even though he had a very solid advantage, and even though he broke Leta's mid-contain, and you can see Leta's actually also got superior upgrades, and it just shows that Tester just doesn't have the mechanics to keep up with a player of Leta's caliber, even when he has every single advantage you could possibly imagine. He had the build order advantage, he had the map advantage, he had everything. And look, he just doesn't have the multitasking or the mechanics or whatever it is that a pro StarCraft player needs to beat another pro StarCraft player. He just doesn't seem to have it, and I think questions have to be asked as to how he really managed to make it into the OSL round of 16.
Well, one thing to note is he does have a very large army there back at his kind of natural choke near his main base, and he does have a really big army actually up top. So now all he needs to do is control this correctly. A huge push is being set up in the middle. Perhaps if he could get a really nice recall off, he could change the wavering of this game and really make this in his advantage again. But he's going to need to pull off something quick, because Leta's only getting bigger and bigger. His upgrades are only getting larger and larger. So I mean, really, Leta, a fantastic comeback, and I have to say, like you were saying earlier, the speed of Leta is just so much more, it seems, than Tester, at least his game awareness, because Leta is just going in and killing like a Nexus, and like you said, Tester not really defending that, and Leta throwing away a couple of vessels there, which I wouldn't really agree with. You need to be very careful with those late game because they are extremely important, but maybe Leta is feeling very confident. He's pushed Tester back into a corner. Tester is very uncomfortable right now. I can just tell by the look on his face and by where his units are. This is just a very uncomfortable position to be for any player, so I expect I expect Tester to really have to make some huge move fast, because otherwise he's going to lose this game. He's only losing more and more units. I don't know why he isn't making some sort of large attack. This just seems like really bad play by Tester, like you were saying earlier. He needs to make some sort of early or mid-game attack with his entire force, like he did earlier, and he did kill Leta's army. He needs to do that again. If he lets Leta set up like this, it's going to be a nightmare to come back from. Even a good recall right now might not save him from this situation. We're really going to just have to see what he chooses to do, but I expect Leta to take this game now. He's got such a huge advantage, and he's going to go take out that next expansion of Tester, so not a good position for poor Tester to be in at all. Tester needs to get a little bit faster, I think, just to really be able to play against some players like this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if it's his mechanics, as I thought. And now Tester finally committing himself to that big final attack. But even if he breaks this first line, Leta's got so much more behind it, and Leta's just continue to pump out reinforcements with his economy, which is completely intact and now vastly superior to Tester's. So Tester manages to break out Leta's breaking units in the middle, and now sending to try and rescue that expansion, but that expansion's already gone down. The 1 o'clock expansion's dead, so Tester's basically got no economy left to speak of, and it seemed to me almost like Tester believed in his own poor quality, because he played very hesitantly the entire game. Despite having the 12 Nexus, he never, not once in this entire game has he taken the initiative and put the pressure on Leta. He's just allowed Leta to rebuild, to macro up, to harass him, and he's just been content to sit and absorb the entire game. I thought, okay, maybe he's absorbing till mid-game where he's going to make a big push, and finally GG from Tester, and he never made that push. He just sat back and bled units and bled expansions and allowed Leta to just play however he wanted to, and he was surrendering the initiative right from the start. And it's no surprise that a player of Leta's caliber, who I still don't think qualifies as an S-class player despite that comeback, you know, was able to effect the victory.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. Leta is a great player, but I don't know if he's quite up to par with those really great S-class players as of yet. And obviously Tester, not the best of players. We all know that. But thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for your support up to this point. Klazart for commentating with me. I've had such a great time. And that's about it. Kenny signing out.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this commentary. Please make sure to check out the SC2GG Commentary Idol, and make sure to go to SC2GG.com and vote on the forums there for your favorite contestant in the finals, because you guys get to pick the next star. Thanks for listening, and this is Klazart.
Alright, thank you judges for watching Kenny's dual commentary. Klazart, how did it feel to do a dual commentary with Kenny, and what did you think of him? What did you think of his commentary overall?
Yeah, Kenny, I gotta say I feel for you, bro, because sometimes, you know, it's like I go to a cinema and I watch a movie that makes me want to never watch another movie again, and a good example of that is Elizabethtown, starring Orlando Bloom, from a while back, and more recently Bride Wars, which unfortunately I was dragged along to and had to submit to my utter shame and humiliation, guys. I have to admit, I was I couldn't stand up to Mrs. Klazart on that occasion, because it was either that or no sex for a week. Yeah, it was either that or no sex for a week, Rise. So, so yes, I did. I was weak. I was weak. But yeah, and for me, so the point I'm trying to make here is, for me, Tester is like the Orlando Bloom of StarCraft. I would rather have July Zerg sit on my chest than watch Tester play another game of StarCraft, or even commentate another game of Testers playing StarCraft. That was just crazy. But I gotta say, you did a great job. I really felt that there was a great balance. I felt that your technical style and your knowledge blended really well with my general craziness, and there was great flow. You covered all the points, and you know, you were able to hold your own quite comfortably for someone who doesn't have a lot of practice doing duels, and you were able to pass off and pass back, and all around I think you did a very solid job, and actually I think that in parts you probably carried me more than the other way around. So great job.
I want to say that carrying Klazart probably less painful than having July Zerg sit on your chest. So I think it's a fairly good trade-off. Yeah, maybe not as enjoyable. I don't know. You'd have to ask Mrs. Klazart. Kenny, definitely good, solid duel. You really have a talent for doing dual commentaries, I think. That will definitely get better with time. You had good sort of dual commentator chemistry, and you acknowledge Klazart a lot and pass things back and forth, like he said. That being said, I did feel like something was missing from the dual commentary on your end. You did contest some of Klazart's points, but I feel like you could have stuck it to him a little bit more. You could have been a little bit more contentious in some of the stuff he's saying. And there were a couple moments where he just sort of ran over you, as Klazart tends to do. And I think that's something that will get better with practice. It must have been fairly nerve-wracking for you as well. Other than that, I think it was very solid, very good, very enjoyable.
So Kenny, I thought that your commentary overall came out pretty damn good. The dual commentary is a wild beast to try to tame, and you did a pretty good job at it this time. I think that you started off a little bit weak, but right after that weak start, you really got into that commentating groove, and you were right there with Klazart. So Klazart was going, you were going. The action was never dropping in terms of commentating. And again, you had all the technical information at your disposal to back up everything that both of you were saying. And then later in the game, you guys were arguing back and forth about what constitutes a S-class player and what makes a player great. And you know what? I thought that your arguments with Klazart were actually very well put and added a lot to this game. And then lastly, the game itself was a interesting game, although a little anticlimactic in a way. But the fact of the matter that a player like Leta, who was at such a big deficit against Testa, brought it back around. You guys did a great job of really articulating what was going on and what was allowing him to get back into the game, what Testa wasn't doing correctly, and why Leta was able to just worm his way out of that game and get a victory out of it. So well done overall. I thought that you had some a little bit of good color in it. I thought you could have used maybe a little bit more, which sometimes we lack that transition from a solo commentary to a dual commentary. Sometimes it's hard to bring in a lot of your personal aspects to it, and that's one thing that I would recommend doing in the future, is bring in more of that you do in your solos to that dual commentary. But overall, great job.
Okay, any questions from the judges at this point?
Well, I'm gonna dust off the soapbox that Rise has been standing on for the last few minutes and ask the same question. Kenny, what was it like casting
Don't
with Klazart?
fall and hurt yourself.
Ha.
Well, casting with Klazart was obviously a treat. I enjoyed it very thoroughly. I believe that I was really nervous at first when I went into it because obviously Klazart's a very well-known commentator and he is very knowledgeable, and like you said earlier, he can pack a lot into his commentaries in a very short amount of time. So it did make it a little bit more difficult, as usually I find myself filling in the gaps with all kinds of different things that he could cover. So for that case, it made it a little bit harder, but I enjoyed it so much. It really was a treat. I'd love to do duels with Klazart in the future. If I ever got the opportunity again, I'd most definitely take it. The game, again, was a little anticlimactic, like you said, but I mean, part of being a good commentator is taking a bad game and making it good and enjoyable for the viewers. So I think that doing this with Klazart, we were able to maybe achieve at least a little bit of that. So I really enjoyed it.
Anyway, I just wanted to mention that we did, like with Hazel, we did a practice commentary before we started out, and ironically enough, I think we did a lot better on the practice commentary. I think that was a much better finished product. And Kenny, if you had the option, would you rather have submitted the one that we did in practice? And I mean, do you think there was a particular reason, as an adjunct to that question, do you think there's a particular reason we did better when we weren't recording than when we actually were?
Well, I do think that the test game we did beforehand actually was a lot better. It was really smooth. There was no issues at all, and I just felt like it was really well casted. In fact, I kind of wish I would have recorded it now to put on my YouTube channel. But that being said, we have what we have, and we submitted this, and I felt that in the end it still worked out. And I think that the fact that we weren't recording the other one really didn't play into the fact that the second one maybe wasn't as great, but that just happens sometimes. We have good commentaries and we have not as good commentaries. I wouldn't say either of them were bad. So overall, if I could have submitted it, I think, yeah, it would have been more enjoyable for the fans to watch as well, because of course there wasn't Tester in that game. But other than that, I still enjoyed doing the commentary regardless.
All right, well, I got one last question for you, Kenny, and that is, how does it feel to be joining the ranks of the married commentators? You are now one of the three, or you will be next weekend, one of the three married commentators. How's it feel?
Well, I gotta say that it feels pretty damn good. I mean, I'm in a really great relationship and I'm really enjoying it. I have a lot going on in life, of course, with a kid on the way as well, and a lot of that stuff. But I mean, like my dad always said, nothing amazing in life is easy to achieve, and I think that's the same with marriage. And I'm sure that you look at it the same way, as you got your rough points, but hey, when things get rough, just ask her to make you a sandwich, and it's all good.
Oh! Burn. Awesome.
All right.
And Peanut, I hope you didn't fall getting off my soapbox. I know that it's pretty high for you, and I know that you're scared of heights. So hopefully, maybe you wore a parachute on your way down, or perhaps a bungee cord, or maybe
yeah, I know that your soapbox. I know that your soapbox has to be pretty high up because otherwise people wouldn't be able to see you. So you know, I take what I can get.
Oh snap!
All right.
I'm just trying to fight a short joke with a short joke.
In the interest of brevity, we'll be stopping the judging right now, and we'll be moving on to Tasteless's comments. Thank you very much, Kenny, for coming, and for the judges for giving your opinions. And with that, I think this will be the last video in the order, so please do go to the link in the video description where you can go and vote for the next Commentator Idol. Thank you very much, guys, and so long.